In today's video, I'm going to bring you a couple crafts, one where you can use it inside or outside, and another craft that is a beautiful wall hanging. My name is Tammy, and this is Llamas Creations DIY. Let's start crafting. So I'm starting out with a few pieces of white pine. I had all the measurements, but I changed it so often that I just gave up on doing the measurements. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to add some wood glue to the bottom of the one, take a smaller piece and nail it in with my air nailer. And then I stick one on the other side, doing the exact same thing. Adding some wood glue, smothering it around with my finger, putting it on top of the bottom piece, and then nailing it in with my air nailer. Next, what I'm doing is taking the front and the back pieces, and this is where I realized that I kind of messed up a bit, so I had to cut a few more other extra pieces. But what I'm doing with these ones is I'm going to find the center, make a mark, and then we're going to go down on an angle on either side, approximately the same width as what the edge to the center is. Draw a line, and then I'm going to cut them with my saw, have an angle. Now going from the center down, I'm marking 2 dots, and we're going to use my spade drill, my drill with my spade bit. We're going to drill in some holes. If you hear noises in the background, summer break, kids are home. They're quite noisy. Next, taking this little tiny piece of wood, I'm going to glue it down and then nail it down with my air nailer along the edges. And this is what I'm talking about, where I figured I screwed up because back and front pieces weren't big enough, so I had to improvise. Now we're sticking the back on, again adding some wood glue and then nailing it on with my air nailer. And I do the same thing to the front, the one with the 2 holes in it. If you haven't figured out, we're making a bird feeder. Birdhouse, bird feeder. Now it's time to add on the roof. Again, adding some wood glue, putting the pieces down, and nailing it in with my air nailer. If you don't have an air nailer, you can use regular nails, you can use screws, or you can just use the glue and let it sit and dry. I also cut a couple little tiny pieces, angled them on either end, and we're going to put on a little tiny roof above that first hole. This one I just use the wood glue because my air nailer, I don't have nails long enough to shoot all the way through. I found these square dowels. I trimmed them down so that they were the length of the roof, and I'm going to put some wood glue on, some hot glue, and we're going to glue 4 of them into place. Right along where the 2 roofs kind of meet, there was a little gap there, and I wanted to fill that in. After that's done, it's all nice and flush, nice and smooth. Taking these garden stakes, I picked them up at Dollarama. They come out every year. And my shears, I'm going to measure along the front, and using hot glue and wood glue, yep, we're going to glue them into place, hiding where the 2 pieces meet. And then I use the same ones to go along the edges of the roof. Give it a little extra more something. I do the same on the back, and then I also do a little bit on the sides so it completely covers where the wood pieces meet. I put on a little perch, which I forgot to record, but it's just a little piece of a square dowel. Now I'm going to paint the entire thing with just a coat of white paint, just a latex paint, and this is just going to be my base coat. We're going to paint the majority of the house with salmon coral. And then we're going to paint the front of the house with provincial blue. And these are both chalk paint from Home Decor Folk Art. Taking one of these little rectangle pieces that I got from Pandahall, I stained it with just an acrylic paint. And then using a paint marker, I'm going to write on it Home Tweet Home. And then little squiggly lines around the edge just to give it a cute little border. This was like a fluorescent green kind of color. We're going to glue a skewer stick onto the back, and then I stain the stick with the same, I think it's called burnt umber acrylic paint. I just paint it on and then wipe it off. Taking 2 little extra pieces of scrap wood, we're going to add on some Eileen's tacky glue and some hot glue, and then we're going to glue on 2 tumbling tower blocks, making sure you're even with the one side and it hangs over on the other side. Now, taking another tumbling tower block, I'm just kind of holding it there in place to figure out where I need to cut these other pieces, which are those same wood stakes that you would use for flowers or your garden. I cut 3 of them the same size, and I'm just using my shears because this is pretty thin wood. Now we're going to use some Eileen's tacky glue and wood glue. We're going to glue those little pieces on that we just cut. One on either side, one in the middle. Then we flip it over and we add the other 2 tumbling tower blocks right up onto the top. This is when I was about to start painting, and then I realized I needed something along the front. So I took another one of those stakes, measured it out, cut it down, and we're going to glue that onto the inside. Looked a little weird, and I thought, what's missing? And then I realized that's what was missing. I'm going to paint the entire thing with my burnt umber acrylic paint, giving it a nice one coat. While that's drying, I picked these here. They're wood-like look sheets. They're vinyl. I'm going to pick out a few of the color that I liked, and I like these because it had all kind of the same colors as what the birdhouse had. We're going to line it up onto the roof as best as we can, flip it over, and then using a pencil, I'm going to trace around the roof that is laying onto the sheet. Cut it out with my scissors. And then we're just going to make sure it's going to fit, peel off the backing, and stick it down onto the roof. I do the other side the same way. And then I also measure out and do 2 little pieces for that little tiny roof. Taking that little basket, I don't know what you want to call it, little flower box, we're going to add some Eileen's tacky glue and some hot glue, and we're going to glue it to the front on the bottom of the birdhouse. Just underneath that one piece. Then I glue down some floral foam. I'm having issues with words today. Some floral foam. And then I add in a bunch of flowers. They're all kind of like wildflowers, and I just absolutely love them. And I made some stick out in between the slats, and I just added them until I liked what I seen. Taking our sign, we're going to clip it down, stick it in with the flowers. And then I found these cute little birds in my stash. We're going to add some Eileen's tacky glue and some hot glue. We're going to glue one onto the roof. And I was going to add 2, but I just couldn't find a nice place for this other one, so I just used the one. I decided to add on a few little tiny ladybugs. And when that's done, we have a beautiful birdhouse. You can use it outside. You can use it inside. This last picture here, you'll see how we used it. We had to fix our mailbox because snowplow took it down. So we fixed our mailbox, added this cute little birdhouse, and there it is. Next craft. I have this, I think it's a 16 by 20 canvas. What we're going to do is take out all the staples. I'm probably not using the proper tools, but it worked. Now that the canvas is off, we're going to give the frame a nice little sanding because it was a little rough. And then taking some spackling, there's little holes on the top and the bottom where the two corners meet. We're going to fill all those in. I didn't like the looks of them, so I filled them all in with some spackling on the top and on the inside. And then this frame was kind of wonky. It kept moving on me. So I pulled out some popsicle sticks, cut down little pieces, and I'm going to glue them to each of the corner just to help secure it a little better. Time to sand that spackling down nice and smooth. This is pretty dusty, so if dust bothers you, please use a mask. And then we paint the entire frame with my burnt umber acrylic paint. What I do is I paint it and then I rub it off with a cloth so it looks like a stain. I'm going to paint the canvas with this home decor chalk paint in oatmeal. And then this was the fun part. I got this stencil from Pandahall as well. I'm going to lay it down into the center and using sandcastle. I first tried to just sponge it on, but it wasn't working, so I'm taking my little makeup sponge and I'm rubbing the paint all through that stencil. It's a screen stencil. I don't do the little flowers, I'm just using that great big part. Taking it off, praying that it works, and I loved how it turned out. And then I continue doing it all over the canvas. Again, just putting it down and then rubbing the paint all through the canvas. Absolutely love how it turned out. Now I picked these up at Dollarama. They were $1.25. I didn't realize it was this small, but we made it work. So what I did first is I cut all the lines into individual lines so that I can space it out myself. And I just did this with my scissors. It even comes with a little scraper tool there too. And then, taking my scissors, I thought, oh, how am I going to put these on? So when you pulled it off and put it on, the white was there, and I didn't want the white. So I went around and cut all the little white and used my little scissors to do all the detailed work. You don't have to do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because it's the letters I want, right? So I put it down, use my little scrapey tool they sent, scrape it down, pull off the top layer, and then you can pull off the black layer, leaving the letters there. Duh! And then I weed out all the little tiny pieces that needed to be weeded out. And I do this to the entire side. After it was all done, I put down a layer of Mod Podge just to make sure this all sticks good. Time to put the frame on, centering the words the best I can within the frame. I'm going to use my utility knife and trim off all the extra, as close as I can get to that frame as possible. And then holding on to the canvas and the frame, flip it over, and using my staple gun, we're going to staple down the canvas to the back of the frame. And when I go along, I try and pull and straighten the best I can so it's nice and tight in behind. While we're back here, we're going to use some jute wire, staple it onto the back so we can have a hanger. Add a little glue to the top so it doesn't scratch the wall. And then we're going to add on some nice greenery and florals. Those are some nice pretty lilies. Just using some hot glue, I'm going to glue them down there into the corner. Tack them down in a few different spots because they were kind of wonky. They had a mind of their own, wanted to go where they wanted. making a bow out of this really pretty ribbon, just an awareness ribbon bow, scrunching it up into the middle, tying a piece of jute rope around it, dovetailing my ends, and we're going to glue it right into the middle, covering where everything meets. And then I found this cute little daisy. Is that a daisy? I forget what it's called. I'm going to glue that into the middle, and this one is done, and I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Here it is set up on my wall. I would like to thank everyone for sticking around and watching my video. It truly, truly amazes me that everyone does this for me. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, like this video, and don't forget that bell. It helps YouTube know that to give this video to other viewers like you to see. If you're a returning subscriber, hey, welcome back. I surely am glad that you always come back to support me. I hope everybody has a wonderful day, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.